What's up, baby? Happy Thursday. Two quick topics to cover. Number one, deliberate practice. When we get together with athletes, one of the first things that we want to know about is what does their weekly routine look like from a practice perspective? Because for us, when we're evaluating a relationship long term with a client and determining whether or not we're going to be able to take this person from where they're at to where they want to go, the number one thing that matters is their work habits, not their talent, not the starting velocity number. Like, that stuff's important, don't get me wrong, but over experiencing it in our own training over the course of the last decade, and also with seeing progress of our own guys, the guys that really are the ones that are special, quote unquote, that really get to the point where they are getting scholarships and putting themselves in the position to have a shot at the next level are the guys that are relentless workers. So now let's establish that you're a relentless worker. Now, how do you make sure that when you're going out to work that you're working on the right things? That's where deliberate practice comes in versus just regular practice. Hey, I'll take regular practice. That's at least part of that's a big part of the equation. If you can be consistent about practice, and when I say consistent, I mean at least 6 days a week if you want to be great at something. Oh, Ryan, that's extreme. Oh, that's a lot. Well, that's great. That's fine. Then don't expect to really do anything special with the game or anything else in the world, for that matter, if you're not willing to put in that work. But deliberate practice is seeking out your constraints, your weaknesses, and then figuring out how you're going to attack those weaknesses to transform your game until your weaknesses become strengths. It sounds so cliche, but it's really the game changer. So, an example, okay? Regular practice. I'm a golfer. I go out to the driving range. I'm not a very good golfer. So deliberate practice in golf is not really what my thing. I go to the driving range and I just smash balls with my driver. Okay? I'm out there for an hour. I'm not measuring anything. I'm not focused on anything specific. If I do that for a year, am I going to get any better? Well, being that my golf game sucks, then hopefully I would get a little bit better. But compare that to the idea that I go out and I have a baseline assessment with a pro. And I understand from the pro that I have this thing in my swing that in my movement pattern that I'm gonna work on to improve so that would be a technique piece. And then I'm going to go out and practice my mid irons and get to the point where I can hit 80% of my mid irons within a certain distance of the 170-yard flag. I don't know the specifics of it, but this is who's going to be better. Obviously, the person is going to be better that's measuring the way that they practice, that's focused on something specific, that's being deliberate. That's the difference. And guess what? Deliberate practice is a lot more difficult because it requires planning, it requires measurement, and it requires constant tracking of progress. A lot of things that people do not want to do. But that's why a lot of people don't end up being world class. Think about how many people that you know that are actually world class at something. Thinking. And if you know them, the chances are that you probably don't see them very often because they're working their ass off, growing their talent, growing their ability in whatever medium that they're world class in. So deliberate practice, number one. And then number two is going to be the ability to... I actually forgot what number two is, to be honest with you. Now that we're on Facebook Live, there's no going back. Oh no. But hey, look, here's the deal. Deliberate practice, that's how people change. There's no way around it. So you got to be obsessed. You got to be obsessed with what it is that you're trying to do, and you've got to be able to do it at a high level, the best of your ability every single day. And if you're a thrower, it doesn't mean you have to go throw every single day, but it does mean that if you're not throwing, you better be spending 15 minutes taking care of your arm, taking care of your soft tissue in your forearm, getting a +1 in the recovery category. If you've got hip mobility constraints, do some hip mobility work. If you've got speed constraints, core strength constraints, like whatever it is, get obsessed with it, and you better be attacking it every day, because if you're not, you're losing momentum, and it's all about momentum on this long, hard journey, okay? 10 years ago, we set out, Connor and I did, to start chasing this velocity dream, and I tell you what, it's never easy. There's a lot more days that are hard, don't yield a result right away, that you get disappointed with, but the days where you continue to push through and you get that result, you break that PR, whether it's in the gym, whether it's on the field, whatever, dude, it's all worth it. So that's my message, baby. Be passionate, know what you're trying to improve, measure it, and attack it. Repeat for a long, long, long time. 10,000 hours. That's what I was going to talk about. 10,000 hours. Look, check it out. 10,000 hours of deliberate practice is the minimum. When you study different categories throughout the world, musicians, business people, athletics, you want to be world class? Minimum of 10,000 hours of deliberate practice required. How does that break out? I've talked about this before. That breaks out to 5 hours a day, 6 days a week for a decade. Ask yourself that. Have you really put in that time? And if the answer is no, then I don't want to hear you griping about why my coach is screwing me over, my coach didn't give me this opportunity, oh, these kids just have better talent than me. Bull. I told myself all those lies. The reality was I wasn't paying attention to what mattered. I wasn't measuring, I wasn't growing, I was working, but I wasn't working the way I had to be working to get where I wanted to get to. So 10,000 hours of deliberate practice. Go get it.